Yes, good morning. I'm all wrapped up because, of course, it's very chilly outside, but it also means it's time for another fitness fragrance review. So, if you haven't seen these before, essentially I do a morning workout. So, I go for a run, walk to the gym, do a workout there, walk back, all while reviewing a fragrance. So, the one we are looking at today is one of Lush's new body spray releases, Strawberry Feels Forever. So, I did one yesterday, Blue Skies and Fluffy White Clouds. This is another one of their new releases. You know it is because they always have this like new colour around the label. They never used to have a border around it. I think it looks a little bit more sleek. So yeah, clues in the name really what this fragrance is. It's obviously all centred around strawberry, but if I read the front very quickly, sing a sugar spun tale of strawberries and cream as swirls scrumptious vanilla sweep you up in a summer's daydream. So it almost sounds like a strawberry dessert basically. Strawberries and cream, very popular, particularly in the summer here when we have like tournaments, Wimbledon's, the tennis. And yeah, this is pretty much a fruity summer fragrance. Something that's kind of in line with what Lush do. They like to do gourmand type fragrances, and yeah, this is just one of their newest releases. I don't think they've ever done a strawberry forward one before, so I'm really looking forward to reviewing this one. My brother's had this one. I remember smelling it about 3 or 4 months ago, and I just thought as it was on a sale recently, I'd add it to my collection for the first time. So what I'm going to quickly do, I'm going to go through the note breakdown. Again, if you haven't seen these, I'll do 5 categories today. So we'll look at price / fave for money, we'll look at versatility, we'll look at projection, so how much it fills up a room, essentially, so I'll spray my room later, see how much I know sit during my run. We'll talk about compliment factor, and we'll also talk about longevity as well. I'll spray mine before I go to the gym today. We'll just see how long it lasts. Can it survive a shower? So I'll basically do my workout 3 hours after I've had my shower. We'll see if I can still smell the fragrance. So yeah, let's talk about the note breakdown first, and there's never a big note breakdown with these. I must warn you, Lush like to keep it quiet. So yes, as I just mentioned, Lush don't really give you a huge note breakdown. It's really strange. I went on the UK website first of all just to have a look because Fragrantica don't have this one. It's still a little bit too new. And it only gives you about 3 or 4 notes. But actually, I asked ChatGPT to basically do the note breakdown for me. And Lush Singapore, bizarrely, has pretty much the full note breakdown. And I've looked at the ingredients on the back, and it's definitely right. So if we look at the top or the opening of the fragrance, strawberry, see as you expect, it's a sweet fruity essence at first, natural juicy but a bit synthetic on some wearers. That's a review actually on Parfumo. We'll obviously talk about that a little bit more today. Bergamot, a citrusy sparkle giving brightness, lively opening, not tangy, more uplifting, sweet citrus. So again, a bit more of a zest essentially. And then we go into the mid. So geranium, a light floral touch, so it makes the fruity note feel more sophisticated and less one-dimensional. Takes maybe that juvenile edge off it. I think that's what they're trying to say there. A bit more of a floral component, I believe, with that. Creamy vanilla accord, richer creaminess emerges quickly, softens the fruit into strawberries and cream. You definitely get that vanilla. It's not like that sun cream type vanilla though. It is definitely more into that gourmand foodie type. But it's not really sticky. It's not like tobacco vanilla or anything like that where you think it's going to really stick in the air. It's essentially what I'm trying to say is it's not overpowering the fruity components, which vanilla can do when it's quite strong in the dry down. And then you've got benzoin, vanilla absolute, add sweet resinous creaminess and more. So again, trying to add into that strawberries and cream type vibe. Then you go into the dry down, olive band, more frankincense, gentle incense, resinous warm underneath, adds depth and a slightly powdery earthy edge. So again, a little bit like geranium, adds a little bit more sophistication. It's a little bit more depth to the fragrance essentially, rather than making this really synthetic juvenile type fragrance. Sandalwood, smooth woody base that softens and anchors the sweet notes, giving a lingering warmth. Again, it almost just binds everything together. It's almost like the hug around the fragrance without making it as heavy and in your face and as aggressive. Sandalwood is a brilliant note. Adds a little bit of a sparkle as well, which I think will complement that bergamot. But the overall scent profile, sweet and fruity, cream and gourmand, bright uplift, and then a few warm resins at the end. But again, it's certainly not a woody fragrance. This is mainly about the strawberries, but also as much about the cream. They could have easily just called this strawberries and cream. And yeah, that is the note breakdown. So it's not really extensive. Again, certainly not like some of the old school fragrances. But of course, what we'll do now, we're going to head out for a run. So I'm going to do some stretching very quickly. And we'll do the first 2 categories. So we'll look at its price / fave for money and also its versatility, how much you can use it in different situations. Again, if you haven't seen these, it'll be a score out of 10 for each round today with a total score of 50. Let's get out there. There's no weather more confusing than British weather. For the last few weeks it's been raining, it's been windy, it's been horrible trying to do these reviews. But suddenly we've now got a period of good weather. It's a bit chilly, it's dark, but it's still, there's a lovely sunrise and I can actually hear myself talking, which makes it a lot easier when trying to do these fitness fragrance reviews. And the one today, Strawberry Feels Forever, the Lush body spray. So price / value for money. Again, their body sprays tend to be around the same price, £25 to £40. This one was in that sort of £30 range. Now I paid 15, 16 for this one because it was on sale, but it's around £30 in general. Do I think that's good value for money? Well, if I was blindfolded, I'd never smelt this, and someone said put a price on it, what would I say it's worth? It's not going to sound good here. I'm going to say about £15 to £20. Initial impressions of this, because this is kind of the first time I've smelt it, I'm a bit disappointed. Look, I've had some nice strawberry fragrances, Zara Red Rhodial, Womo Winter as it's called now. It's got that synthetic strawberry smell to it, but it's done right. But Lush, you think of them as really good, realistic gourmands. I think of like Sticky Dates, a lovely realistic caramel. Some of their biscuity scents in like Yog Nog, some of their minty scents, they're so realistic that you can almost get it confused with food or drink. And this one, it just smells very synthetic for Lush. You know, Lush do very natural oils, and that's the whole marketing thing about them being sustainable, being as natural as they can be. But this one smells synthetic, and that Parfuma review that we mentioned in the breakdown said the same. And the other thing that disappoints me with this is not that it doesn't smell very natural, but it's also the fact it really promotes strawberry, but it's not really strong. It's quite tame, if anything. This isn't aggressive like I expect from Lush. And, you know, maybe that's my own fault. Maybe that's a good thing with this, because that strawberry does smell synthetic. But it feels like that vanilla or that cream, whatever you want to say, that's, you know, the other main accord to this, has almost tamed it, and it's overtaken what should be the selling point of this fragrance based on the name of the strawberry. And that's what's disappointing me here. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I'm a little bit disappointed, and I wear it to bed. I normally wear the fragrance to bed before I do the review in the morning, just to give myself a bit of an idea. And it hasn't really performed for me. It's been quite weak, and I'm not noticing it so far on my run. We'll obviously talk about that later, and hopefully it'll pick up. But initial impressions, no, not overly impressed with that, and I don't think I'd want to pay full price. You know, I was lucky to get it on sale. So yeah, 5 out of 10 onto versatility. Okay then, so onto versatility. How much can you dress this one up, dress this one down? Different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, I think this is definitely more of a feminine fragrance, more what you'd expect from Lush. You know, it's definitely sweet, fruity, and I associate that more with a women's fragrance. You know, it's got no real, I know it says about a bit of depth with the frankincense, the olive, and I don't really detect that here. For me, this is very much a sweet, fruity gourmand. And to me, that tailors more to a younger person, not even a, you know, even the floral components of this, you might go, oh, that might bring a bit more sophistication, a bit more maturity to it. But for me, because it's quite a tame fragrance, it doesn't really. But I suppose in the benefit of versatility, that probably makes it a little bit more wearable through the year. Maybe those floral touches, maybe a bit of that depth that they talk about, maybe that does make it a little bit more wearable when we talk about, you know, not those high heat seasons, because it's not really sweet. It's sweet, but it's not really sweet, like cloying sweet. So again, I think you could wear this on a spring day, even on a warm one. It's definitely more full winter though, because again, it's the vanilla of this is definitely more prominent than the sort of fruity elements to it. But it's certainly casual. This isn't one you dress up. For me, you know, this is very much someone who's going out with their friends for the day, just sitting at home, just wants something to wear, going to the shops. I still think, even though it's not sickly sweet, this doesn't work for a gym environment. It doesn't really feel right running, even though I can't really smell it, which has made it more wearable. I don't think we can say that makes it more versatile, because its performance isn't great. You know, that's just a result of it, you know, just not being as strong as I think it could be. But the scent profile doesn't make it suitable for these occasions, not for job interviews or anything like that. This is casual wear, young girl, you know, just relatively easy to pull off. But in that sense, a little bit dull, a little bit boring, and a little bit, for me, forgettable. So I'm going to say versatility, 6.5 out of 10. It's just not, it doesn't have that wow factor for me, that even if that tameness, or the, you know, the more tame elements of it, because it's not really strong, can make it more wearable. You're still going to have other ones that you want to pick over this. And yeah, I just don't think it has that quality where you think you're going to wear it on more dress-up occasions. So, not the best start for this one. But when we get back, we'll talk about projection. How much am I noticing it on my run? Hopefully I'll pick it up at some point. As you know, I haven't really noticed it yet. So, let's hope it picks up soon. So workout done, hair's a little bit wild, isn't it? Honestly, I need a haircut so much. So it's time to spray my room now, and then we'll talk about projections, how much I noticed the fragrance during my run. But we also can project with a room spray test. So I'm going to spray the room 5 times. Do one more for luck. And then essentially what I'll do, I'll finish my cup of tea while I'm downstairs. 10 minutes time will go by once I've eaten and stuff, and then we'll see how much the fragrance has filled up the room. So if a colleague came in, or if you've got family members at home, would they notice the fragrance? Yeah, let's head downstairs. Let's talk about projection, how much I noticed it during my run. Oh, honestly, a coffee after a run, you cannot beat it. I say it every time, I know, but you really can't. So projection during my run, how much did I notice Lush is Strawberry Feels Forever? I don't think I actually smelt it once. Now, normally I would say that's probably because it's really cold, and sometimes you can let it go if it is a bit cold, because it blocks your nose up. My nose does get bunged up quite a lot when running, but this is the sort of fragrance I expect to cut through that cold. It's sweet, it's vanillic, it's strong in terms. Like I say, it's not that sticky vanillic, but strawberries and cream. It's just that gourmand type fragrance that you expect to really project, to stick in the air, and that's what Lush is all about. As I said, that's their DNA. Super strong, heavy fragrances, and that's why I love them so much, and I speak so highly of them. This just hasn't done that, and the word I've said earlier, tame. It just feels very tame, this one, and I don't know why. There's no reason why it should be. When you look at the notes, when you look at everything that's in it, you expect this to be a really strong gourmand in the mould that they've done before. It just feels rushed and almost like they wanted to get some sort of strawberry fragrance out, and they've just cut corners. That's what it feels like. They've cut corners with this one, and I'm really disappointed in that sense. So I'm hoping with the projection we'll get a bit of better score with the room spray test. Maybe it will stick in the air a bit more. So I'll finish my coffee, then we'll head upstairs, and then we'll give an overall score. Okay then, so up the stairs we go, see what we can smell. Nothing at the top of the stairs. Okay, well, I'm really glad. Actually, now I've come into my room, I'm definitely getting that strawberries and cream smell. Again, the cream is definitely more dominant than the strawberry. But that's a lot more noticeable in the air than on my clothing. And recently it's been the other way around. The blue skies and fluffy white clouds fragrance I did the other day. That one was the opposite. It didn't really fill a room in the same way. It did fill a room, but you felt like it was one that's going to stick on your clothes more than project outwards in the air. But this one's done all right. Again, that goes more into what I would have expected on both accounts. I would have given this potentially, before I started in my mind, I would have thought this could be a 10 out of 10 today. But it's certainly not a 10 out of 10. It's probably about 70% as strong. I think people come in the office, they're going to notice it. I don't think they're going to think it's too much gourmandy. Sometimes these Lush sprays can almost smell so realistic that they are actually just someone's baking cookies or whatever. This one does have a little bit of a vibe of being a fragrance as well. And again, maybe that is those floral components that I said you don't really detect earlier on, but it's okay. It's not horrible. And actually, probably in one sense, it's probably good that the projection is not too strong on this fragrance, because strawberry, maybe this cream, if it is a little bit synthetic, which this one does feel, maybe that would have been to its detriment. So I'm going to give it, I'll go 7.5. I was going to give it an 8, but I just think it just didn't do well enough on my run to really notice it. And again, in a couple of hours, is this going to really be in the room? Probably not. So it probably does just about enough. It's got it about right, let's say, on this count. But it's not super beast mode. But in that sense, I think that's a positive, not a negative, with the type of scent I'm getting from this. But anyway, we're going to head to the gym now. We're going to talk about compliment factor next. So is this a compliment getting fragrance? And do I think it'll, well, I haven't got any experience with it, but do I think it'll get compliments in different situations? So yeah, we'll head to the gym. Of course, if I get any at the gym today, it'll be an automatic 10 for compliment factor. On to compliment factor. Do I think Strawberry Feels Forever is a compliment getting fragrance. Well, I've never really looked at it like this before, but I had a little think the other day. Obviously, when Lush had their Boxing Day sale on there, a lot of the body spray had already gone before 5 in the morning when I got up. So ones like Sticky Dates and that was not even on sale because it's too popular. But Yognog is a bestseller of theirs, completely unavailable. And I was looking and just thinking, they sometimes do a label that literally says which one's the best sellers. And in general, we all seem to think the same, because Sticky Date was the most popular, Yognog Dirty. Those ones that I really like, they're probably in my top 5 at least, Zesty as well. They're either not reduced or they've got that bestseller label by them. And there were 4 that essentially were still available for the 50% discount. And I'll be honest, all 4 of them were probably ones I either wasn't that fussed about when I've smelt them before, or I've had before and they were one of my least favourites, like Guardian of the Forest. And this one was one of them. This one, Strawberry Feels Forever, was still one that was available. And it was available till about 5-6 o'clock the following, that evening. So it clearly shows that in general, a lot of people who buy this fragrance from Lush don't like it that much. And the ones that do really well are the ones that I find are the compliment getting fragrances. So Sticky Dates is the number one. It's super Moorish and so many people say good things about it. And it just makes me think that maybe this isn't really a compliment getting scent. Obviously I've not had it for long enough yet to judge it. Do I think the average person will like it? Yes. I think it's very much safe. It's pleasant. It's probably the best way to say it. And it's just got notes that are very safe. Bergamot, sandalwood, vanilla, strawberry. They're nothing too daring, are they? They're not scents in, they're not rare notes in fragrances. They're popular notes. They're well used. But it just makes it forgettable. And look, in some ways you'll probably get nice comments. You'll get people saying you smell nice. But because it's so tame as well, it doesn't really kick up enough for people to potentially even notice it. And that's what really disappoints me more than anything, is the performance, which is going to reduce its compliment factor. But also, I suppose it makes it less heavy where you can wear it maybe in more situations. But it just feels like it's not just me who thinks the same with this one. It's disappointing from Lush. I think if you know Lush and you buy from Lush, I think this is one just feels like they've underperformed, and that's absolutely fine. That they've raised the bar so high, and that's why I don't think it's going to be the number one compliment getting fragrance. But again, for the general person that doesn't really know these fragrances and walking by, you're not going to offend anyone, and in that sense it makes it quite wearable, as I said. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for compliment factor. Again, easy to pull off, but just doesn't give enough of a punch to really get you those compliments that you're looking for, especially when you can get those other fragrances for a similar price. So yeah, what we'll do, of course, getting it at the gym today, we'll bump it up to a 10, but yeah, I'm not really expecting any. Workout done. I did spray miles before I left, and to be honest, the fragrance definitely feels stronger on your skin than it does on clothing, which is normally not what happens, I find, with these fragrances. But it's not too strong to the point it's been cloying in the gym or anything like that. Yes, it doesn't feel like a gym fragrance. It's a little bit too sickly sweet, even though it's not a really, really sweet fragrance. It's still, you want more of a fresh aquatic, don't you? That's what you associate more with workouts, but it's absolutely been fine. I think it might do better than I think with this shower test. Fingers crossed it'll do alright. I'm going to go in the shower now. Essentially, that would have been 3 hours since I applied the fragrance. And yeah, we'll just see if it's got any longevity at all. Fingers crossed it will end on a high note. The showers are running cold. I'm not ready for this. 12:05. I've survived that shower. It wasn't quite as cold as I thought it was going to be. It's time to smell my arms and see what we can detect. Yeah, so it's probably about 35% as strong as it was when I applied it a few hours ago. You're still definitely getting from this Strawberry Feels Forever more of the cream than the strawberry. And it's, to me, that's still underwhelming. Look, do I think it's going to get you through the day? I think if you're not exercising and it's cool like it is today, probably so. But you're not going to need to wash it off or anything like that. It's not really strong in your face. And again, I'd say that's okay with this because it does smell quite synthetic. But I'm just disappointed with Lush at this, because if it was a natural smelling or a very realistic gourmand type smell, which they're really good at normally, I wouldn't want to wash it off. But I just think with this one, it's just really, really underwhelming. And obviously I like the sport, I like my fitness. And if I can sort of do an analogy or, compare it to anything. It feels like the boxer who's basically just, they know they're not as good as some of the others in their field. They've got to fight against someone that they're expected to lose to, but they've got their money. They know what they're getting paid for the fight, and they just haven't really got the heart for it. They've not really put the full effort in, the full trading. And look, they'll be able to put on a show, stick around for a few rounds, but then they'll just be forgotten, and they'll just disappear into the background. And I think this is what this one's going to do, not only just on its longevity in this round, but maybe as a fragrance as a whole. I don't know if this one will be around in a year's time. It just feels to me like Lush have just put out another release around another note, and it's like, let's just try and find other ways to make more money. And I'm really disappointed with it. I just don't think it's what I'm used to with them. As I said, it's not unpleasant, it's not horrible, but it's really because they normally set the bar so high with their scents. They have some very, very good quality gourmand, and if this was their first release, I probably would have been a lot more positive on it, because it is a pleasant smell, but it's disappointing. It's just not part of their DNA. It feels far removed from that. So I'm going to give longevity 6 out of 10. Yeah, not a great score. I don't think it's done very well today, but of course what I'll do now, I'll head back, I'll count up all the scores, and I'll give my overall thoughts. We are back. We are finally back. So how many steps have I done this morning? I have done 38,510, all while reviewing this fragrance here, Strawberry Feels Forever, the Lush body spray. So what did it get as a total score? Its overall score didn't do as badly as I thought, actually. 31 out of 50. Look, it's not a monster score, and I've been pretty negative on it today, and I do want to kind of say, look, whatever my opinion on it, this isn't a bad fragrance. This doesn't smell horrible in any stretch, and that I've got other fragrances that people will hate a lot more than this. It's a lot more divisive, let's say, but I actually really enjoy some of those. I've probably given higher scores. For me, this one, it's just really let down because I just know how good Lush is. For me, honestly, if I could just have one fragrance house, if you want to call them that, I would buy Lush, because their body sprays are that good. And this one just doesn't feel like it's had enough love put into it. I really like Lush because they're sustainable. They do really natural products, and I can read the notes on the back and all the ingredients, and there's a lot of natural oils, but it just smells a little bit cheap and a bit synthetic, and it just doesn't have that projection about it. It doesn't have that kick, which I said is not what they're used to. For me, I'm so used to Lush being those strong type fragrances. Again, if this was another brand that did this, where I don't have as high expectations, I probably may have given it a higher score today. Maybe that's just me, but it's done pretty well. As I said, I probably personally would have given it lower than that if I wasn't doing it for everyone else. I suppose the question is, would I buy it again? Probably not. For the price I paid, look, very happy with £14-15 for it. But £30, there's other Lush body sprays that I think are just much better than this one. This one doesn't feel like a forever scent, as it says in the name. It feels like it's going to be forgotten in a year or two. And it just conveys that message of, let's release another fragrance to try and make a little bit more money. And it's just not as good as what they used to. Again, it's very hard to beat what they've done. I appreciate that. But yeah, this one for me doesn't do it. I think it needed a little bit more strawberry to it. And I just think it just didn't have that natural smell. It just lacked a little bit of oomph and that little bit of love, essentially. And that's just my opinion on it. I've got to be completely honest. As I said, I buy these all for myself. So I'd love to say the ones I've bought are fantastic investments, but that's probably not my best one in recent times. That being said, be really interested to know if any of you have tried that one. If you can go to a Lush shop, try it, see what you think. Because again, my brother liked this one. He bought it straight away before it was even on sale. So maybe it's just me, but I've got to be completely honest as I can be. But thank you very much for watching today. I'll do one more review tomorrow of a Lush fragrance, which is pumpkin spice. Like I said, I've got my clone fragrances coming soon as well, so hopefully I can do some reviews of them. But there'll be plenty more fragrance videos, and I cannot wait to review this one. I'm going to give it a little spray now. Just a little sneak preview for you. This one's going to be controversial. Hopefully you'll be there to join me. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.